Alright, I'm making a video for obviously anyone and everyone, but somebody asked me to show a little bit more on how I run my wiring. So I'm going to show 3 parts. First off, I'm going to show on the car where it's run. Then I'm going to show you some screenshots of some wire diagrams I draw up later. And then I'm going to show you the types of lights and stuff that I use. So first part is the car. Now some common questions are, how many batteries do you need? Guys, let me just tell you, these are LEDs that I use. It uses no battery whatsoever. The Cavalier that you've seen in the past, I left the radio on and all the doors open, henceforth all the lights were on. Radio on, all the lights on for about 9 to 10 hours, and the car didn't even hesitate to start. So these use no light, no power at all. So I hook right up to the battery. There's my positive. My negative right here, I hooked up to a ground. And these run through here. And obviously this will depend on the car. Back behind the fuel filter and down into the firewall. This car was convenient enough that it actually has a designated spot for running like aftermarket wires through the firewall. If not, you're gonna have to create your own thing there. Alright, so when you're in the engine bay, in the car, it's gonna be a mess. Prepare for that, let me just say. Here are my wires. I can't even begin to sum up what everything is. Yeah, right there is where they come into the car through the firewall. And then over here I have a bunch of relays and things that, again, you can't see that well. I will say it's really good to label all your stuff, because you are not going to know where to run the wires in the car. Never go directly under your carpet. The wire's going to chafe under your feet and everything. So in this car, it's really convenient because you pop up these sides, and anything you run to the back of the car, I have a plastic channel under the carpet that is made to hold all the wiring, and has plenty more room, so I put all the wires in there. In the other car, in other cars, just put it under the carpet on the side. Make sure you use wire with good insulation so that it doesn't chafe over time and rub up on the metal. But run it down here along the sides of the car and then over to the seats, or up under everything here, up through the center console. You can also do the other side, of course, and use those right there, pop it off, and you can run wire pretty much anywhere up under your headliner. Obviously car dependent. And also make sure to use the car's existing wiring whenever you can. For example, my where I tied into the dome light wiring, my dome light switch goes from there all the way down and down into here, and where I tied it in was actually up under the dash, kind of behind where the airbag is. Once all that's taken off the dash, you know, don't tie in up there and then run your own wiring all the way down. As for the switches, here's the switches installed. Use a drill to drill your holes. It's just a toggle switch. I don't think I need to go into that. Here, for example, is the light strip that I have under the sunroof. Notice it's not visible when you're behind the car, so other cars can't see it when you're driving. This one is soldered and heat shrinked. You can either do that or the other method I use. You get these, what I'm gonna call like a quick connector socket, if it will focus. All right, and the way that these work is this part right here clamps down over the exposed contact. So you just peel back the insulation if you have waterproof strips and clip it right on. Those are great. On the 600s, you notice the first 2 lights are gone. You do have to grind a little resistor off, and that makes the first 2 not work. Okay, so now I'm going to go into a brief wire diagram based on the Subaru that I was just showing. Alright, so you go through your, from your battery, go to a fuse, which I recommend doing in the engine bay before you go through the firewall. You don't want to ground it out at the firewall or something like that. Alright, so now we go to our main switch, what I'm gonna call. And that in my car is that switch where if I flip it up, it's on the music mode, and if I flip it down, it's on the solid regular. In between, we'll just cut power to the whole entire light circuit, you know, and revert it back to like stock per se. Alright, so if you go to the music, the only difference is it goes through the music controller where that regulates the flashing and dimming of the lights. So I'm just going to talk about like regular on. That goes over here, and it goes, if your dome light comes on, or if you know, say if you have a door open, click the button on your remote, whatever, it provides power through this relay here to this relay, which is the driving only lights, and then it also provides power to the lights that you only want to come on with the dome light. And if you do exterior lights, fuse it again, because again, you know, you want to make sure you're not screwing something up in this circuitry before you going through firewall again, you know, getting water, all that those sorts of things. Alright, so, and that's if you have the dome light. If you just want to flip the switch right here, like when you're driving, you know, for footwells and like the sunroof that I have shown in my one video where I show my car at night, then it just simply turns on this relay. Well, sorry, I drew this up wrong. You're going to actually have to use a three-way relay. But essentially, you know, you get the concept. You flip that switch on, and it only gives power to these lights and not these lights. This dome light switch overriding it, and you'll see that in the video. But that's a brief thing on the wire diagram. Alright, so now I'm going to show some of the things I use. You know, knife connectors like these, heavier duty, I believe 16 gauge, like an Automotive regular wire. Here's just some LED strips, RGB controller, you have switches, and then some connectors like that. Toggle switches like this, like the ones you've seen in the car, and then I got some others other places. I use that thicker wire there when I'm going into the car, like through the firewall, but when it comes to actually running it in the car, but this is 16 gauge speaker wire. The reason I like doing that is because now remember, if you're putting a lot more power through here than LEDs require, these can heat up faster than regular wires, and the insulation isn't quite as good. But I use these because if you're running, let's say, to the back window, you are essentially just running one wire, and you have your ground and your, you know, positive feed all in one wire. You don't have to worry about multiple wires running around. I did that on my Cavalier, and you know, that was a mess having all the wires. That's a test bench per se, a 12 volt inverter for the house. Relays like this. It's just a relay like I showed in my diagram. I use the other ones too, where you got 5 prongs. Just depends on how I'm setting everything up. Now in here I got rolls of lights. Got lights in there. Here's a smaller roll. These are non-waterproofed reds. Multimeter, definitely need this. Oh, these are for inside the car, like the dash lights. Those are my bigger dash lights. Now these quick connectors here, these are great. They're made for a search on eBay or something. 3528 SMD strip to connect 2 strips, but really you cut these in half, and then that's great. Yeah, you pop it open there, slide in the strip, and it's going to slide right in there and connect. These are just mainly use 3528 SMD strips. I label all my stuff. I recommend getting 600s. It's more expensive, of course, because you have 600 lights per 5 meter, but I mean, I have all sorts of colors on hand. I have basically every color you can get in there. Okay, so a lot of you have been asking for it for a long time, and there it is, a more instructional video on automotive lighting. Be sure to watch my one that I just uploaded at the same time as this, my Subaru Legacy with my lighting in it, you know, at night. And then also my older one with my Cavalier, and I'll put the 2 links on the screen right now. But I hope this helped you guys out, so be creative and have fun.